This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. And today's guest may be one of the hardest working guests I've ever had. Please welcome, straight from Normandy, France, Stéphane Schück. Stéphane talks about the music that inspired him as a kid. It isn't your standard rock and roll background. Maybe part of that is growing up in France. Maybe part is just Stéphane's unique angle on music. He formed a group that eventually came to be known as the Salt Collective. But that isn't his day job. Instead of music, Stéphane went into medicine. Both hemispheres of his brain are constantly working. He talks about working with some of his heroes with his own music, changing his band's name, and what happened when he was diagnosed with leukemia. The Salt Collective has a new album out called A Brief History of Blindness. It features Mike Mills, Amy Mann, Pat Sansone, and former podcast guests Chris Stamey and Django Haskins, among others. It's a wonderful album that you can stream in the usual places, or buy it on Bandcamp or thesaltcollective.propellersoundrecordings.com. Follow the group at The Salt Collective on Instagram and Facebook. Follow us at Performance ANX on social media. Support us through performanceanx.threadless.com or ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. Now let's get salty with Stéphane Schück on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Take one is, hi, you listen to Performance Anxiety Podcast, and I'm Stéphane Schück from the Salt Collective, and I will speak about our next release, which is A Brief History of Blindness, so please listen. Another one? Yeah? Hi, this is Stéphane Schück from the Salt Collective band, and we are here today with Performance Anxiety Podcast, and we're going to speak about our next release, which is A Brief History of Blindness. Maybe you can do something with the tool. Just tell me, okay?
All right, how you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you.
Oh, my pleasure. So I am thrilled to have you on. And I like to find out, particularly from guests from another country, how music became important to them. What you were listening to when you were growing up that really made an impact on you. I know in the U.S., the typical bands that people are listening to based on what band they're in currently, there's a lot of rock, there's a lot of blues and things. So I'm always interested when I have someone from another country on, what were you listening to that really struck you when you were growing up that made you really want to pursue music?
A lot of things. First, I think that my oldest memory is my mother listening to the Beatles when I was a kid, because I was born in 1968.
Okay.
And my mother was a huge fan of the Beatles. And you have to know that I was living in France, in Normandy.
Okay.
And that in Normandy, we can catch English radio,
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's on the the northwestern side of France, right?
Exactly. So there's just the channel between us and England. So we catch English radio, and when I was a kid and a teenager, we always listened to English radio. So we have all this British invasion, and then when I was a teenager, it was a punk explosion.
Yeah.
The Clash and the Sex Pistols and all these bands, and for us it was kind of a new energy, And beside of all of this, I was a huge fan of American bands. And this is directly linked to the Salt Collective because I used to be a huge fan of the DBs and Chris Stamey when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I was listening to them nearly all the time, and I have this album Repercussion. I was 13 years old, and this album was for me one of the best ever albums that I ever heard.
Okay.
And I said to myself, I want to play music because one day I want to write songs like this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so as you know, now I'm playing with Chris Stamey and Jan Holder and all these wonderful guys. So it's kind of, an awake dream, a fan dream, because now I'm playing with them, and it's amazing because when I was a teenager, I was a huge fan of them.
That's incredible. So it's a dream come true. I love hearing those kinds of stories.
Yes.
So is music something that runs in the family? I mean, do you have any musicians in the family, parents, siblings?
Not at all. It just came out from nowhere because my mother was really loved music and Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel, and but she didn't play at all an instrument, and so I learned all by myself. Starting from the drums. I was a drummer, so I was in different bands as a drummer. Then I moved to bass,
Okay.
and finally I get to guitars, and now I'm playing guitars. But I mean, I can understand, what is the anxiety of a drummer, the anxiety of a bass player when you are playing music together. So, but now there was nobody in my family who was playing music.
Early on, when you're learning these instruments and learning how to play, are you playing with friends? Are you starting bands, or are you just playing by yourself?
Yes, I used to have two main friends in music, and they are still the guys that are with me in the Salt core music. I mean, it's Fred Quentin on bass and Benoît Lautrédoux on drums. And I spent a lot of time with Fred, which is a classical musician.
Oh.
So he knew very well all the theory of the music, and so he learned me some tricks and some, kind of harmony. Why this note is getting well with this note and things like that.
Yeah.
And after, I was such a huge fan of music that I want to play the song I love. So I listened to Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie and say, I want to play like they are playing on the record. So I spent hours training myself, with an headphone and trying to get the correct chords, the correct finger position, and things like that. So It was nearly almost alone, but with a lot of exchange with my friend Fred.
But you ended up actually not even becoming a professional musician to start with. Medicine was your career path. So was there a conflict ever? I mean, did you have to choose one, or did you always think of music more as a hobby and medicine was your true calling?
It's always been kind of conflict, between the two. In the same times, it was kind of things that getting well together. It's weird. Because when I was at the medical school, people say you are too in rock and roll to be a medical doctor. And when I was in a rock band, they said to me, you are too medical doctor to be a real rocker. So I used to this. It's always the same story, but sometimes I have some hesitation. Long time ago, saying, should I go to professional musician or should I go to medicine? And I have a funny story about this.
Please.
Again, related to the DBs. It's totally amazing. When I was at the medical school, the first year you have a very hard selection if you want to pursue and to go on your medical career. And so it's really a 1 year who you are working all the time. And by any chance, the DBs were giving a concert in Normandy.
Wow.
Just 1 hour drive from my home. But the thing is that this concert was the day before my final exam of medical school.
Oh, no.
Yes. And so during 3 or 4 months, I said to myself, should I go to the DB's concert or should I work my exam?
Yeah.
And finally, I choose to work my exam because it was 1 hour drive, but if something gets wrong, so I will miss my exam. So I made the choice of become a doctor. And I told this story to Chris Tammy, John Holder, Peter Olsepel when I saw them. And they remember it was like in 1987. And they remember this show in Normandy, and I say, I miss you there. So, medicine and music, yes, it's kind of, I can't live with any, I have to live with the two parts. It's two parts of myself. I mean, I'm a medical doctor, but I'm also a musician.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Now, how long is the medical program? How long were you studying and preparing?
I spent 12 years at university.
Oh my
because because I get over specialized. I make a lot of so I'm specialized in what we call clinical research, in working on new drugs, and how you can evaluate these new drugs. Something like for the Food and Drug Administration, when you have to prove that the drug is working well and improve mortality or things like that. And I'm over specialized in cancerology.
Okay. Wow.
So it was long. It was long.
12, yeah.
Very interesting.
That entire time, are you playing music at all, or did you just put it down completely?
No, I always playing. I mean, in my office, if you came in my office in Paris, there is a guitar in my office. I have the guitar just 1 meter from me. So each time I have 5 or 10 minutes, I take the guitar and I'm writing songs. So I always play music.
That is excellent. So you mentioned writing songs. When did you actually start writing your own music?
Well, it's kind of long story because at the beginning I was not sure I can write music. So I was in band where I was only playing and not composing and not writing songs. But there was a big point which is very important for me in my musical career. It's when I met Scott Miller. Maybe this guy. He was the frontman of Game Theory and then Loud Family.
Yeah.
In the US.
Yes.
And I was a huge fan of Scott, like I was for the DBs. And at the time, I was a DJ radio in France.
Okay.
And I sent a letter, a fan letter to Scott Miller saying, I'm a fan here in France. I have a broadcast radio and I want to make an interview with you. So at the time, there was no internet, there was no Zoom. So I take my pen and wrote the question and sent the question to him. And he sent me back a tape,
Oh, wow.
And so I made the broadcast and I broadcast the interview of Scott. And a few years after, I met him in San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. And I told to him, I'm a huge fan and I'm also playing music. And I remember this scene was, it's buried in my brain. He takes his guitar, he has this 12-string guitar you can see on the sleeve of his album, and he gave me the guitar and said, play your songs to me.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, that was just amazing. We were in San Francisco and it was really something really important for me. And I said, okay, I will play my song, so you can just imagine the tension at this moment when you have to play the songs in front of one of your heroes,
Oh, yeah.
And he said, well, that's not so bad. And he said, maybe we can do something together. And so that was the first big step, in my musical orientation. And I said to myself, so now I have really to write songs, And the story is that we wrote songs together. Unfortunately, maybe, he took his own life in 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And I have these songs with him, and these songs now you can find them on the posthum Game Theory album. So we play together, and that's the way I really started to writing music, starting from this point.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, I have a totally crazy story in music. It's and because I'm sure you're a music fan, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So I know that you can understand how wonderful is the thing that I lived with the Soul Collective. I mean, it's totally crazy because at the beginning, I'm a pure fan of all these guys,
Yeah.
So Chris Tammy, Matthew Cowes, Andy Partridge that we have on the album, Amy Mann, Lynn Blakey, Mitchester. I was a huge fan of Let's Active,
Yeah.
So, and Matthew from Nada Surf. I mean, I saw their first gig in France back to the 90s, and we have all this collaboration with him. So I can say it's a beautiful story.
You can tell as many stories as you like. I'm always curious when I have a guest on who's done an album with a lot of collaborations. How do you meet these people? I mean, how do you convince them to play on your album? Like Amy Mann. I'm a huge Amy Mann fan and have been since Till Tuesday days.
I do. It's the same for me.
She's one of the people that I would love to get on the podcast one of these days and just find out all about it because her music is amazing. So you're practicing medicine, you're still writing and playing. Are you just playing on your own at this point while you're still where you're actually, in the medical field testing medicines and all, or are you moonlighting in bands playing it live at all, or is it just for yourself?
No, I'm playing. We from the Soul Collective. We have a French basis, but with my two friends, we are playing together since the 80s. And so I'm writing the songs, but I need them to have a complete view of the song to make the structuration. So sometimes we are playing together, but only for us. We are not playing live. We're just working. On the song with them. And after we have kind of methodology to work with Chris because I write the songs, I send them to Chris, and Chris makes the selection and saying this one we can do something with this one needs to be work again, and we spent hours and hours and hours to get the perfect structure.
Okay.
And then we have the music, and we are sending the music to some different singers with totally freedom for them to put all the vocal lines they want on the music and to write all the lyrics they want. So it's kind of real collaboration. They have a piece of music and they are putting a layer of vocal lines, melodies, and their vocals on it. And it's kind of collaboration which is really, really interesting because the song takes some direction which is totally surprising. You won't believe me, but if you listen to the album and the song All the Rage, which Chris Tammy and Amy Mann, you won't believe me, but at the beginning it was a punk song.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. I can send you the very first demo. The very first demo is like, you can hear on the song there is a little electric guitar riff just behind, which is kind of tension and nearly aggression, and all the song was built on this. And when working with Chris brings this wonderful feeling of nostalgic and kind of Broadway feeling, and I guess the mix, the blend of these two feelings in this song, I'm very proud of it because so the song is evolving nearly all the time, with this kind of collaboration, and this is really interesting as a musician, because you don't go from A to B and saying this is a song, take this and let's go to produce, but this is a piece of music. What can we do with this? What do you think you should add? Do what you want. And at each time, with all these guys that are just amazing, running from Matthew Cowes to Mitchester to Lynn Blakey to all the singers we have, each time they made the song so much better, and I'm very happy with this kind of collaboration.
So the first thing you did was just called Salt.
Yes, the first was Salt, because it was when Scott Miller, as I said, took his own life. His widow wanted to release an album with all the unreleased songs and the songs I have with him.
Okay.
And the producer at the time was Ken Stringfellow. And I also met Anton Barbeau.
Yes.
You know? And I bring all these people to Abbey Road Studio, the Beatles studio in London, to record one song in the memory of Scott Miller. Okay. And then we decided to go on with the music. And so we made the first album, who was Salt, And then after I was connected with Chris. And I say Salt is too small because we have all these wonderful people, and so let's be a collective of artists, based on the Salt core, but now we're the Salt collective.
Okay. So it's not like two separate bands; it's more of an expansion of.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
and maybe maybe the things in common is just me writing the songs.
Okay. How did you end up connecting with Chris Stamey? I mean, that's got to be amazing because you mentioned growing up as he's one of your idols. So
he is, and for the connection, we have to go back to Scott Miller. So I at the time I was really close to Scott, and we have a lot of discussion, and he came in France for producing one of my old band at the time, and so we spoke a lot of music, and he said to me, Scott said, I'm a huge fan of Chris Stamey. I said, wow, it's the same for me. I really love all the things that he did.
Yeah.
And I remember Scott saying, if I could say only to 10 people became fan of Chris Stamey, I will do my best for this. Only 10 people converted to Chris Stamey music, and I really remember this. And the connection was made at the time by Ken Stringfellow.
Okay.
Because he knew that I was a huge fan of the DBs, and he made the connection. So I met Chris, and I told him all the story, the concert in Normandy years ago, and the fact that I was close to Scott. And Chris was loving Scott music too, so it makes kind of natural connection. And then we started working together, and it's a pure joy that we had working together on these two albums.
So the first Salt Collective album, Life, came out in 2023.
Exact.
Was that done remotely? I mean, how long was that in the process? I mean, you've got some amazing people on there who aren't based in France, like Julian Hatfield, Matthew Sweet, Richard Lloyd, Mitch Easter, Susan Cowsell, and basically all of the DBs.
Exactly.
So how did that come together? When did that start? And was it done remotely? Did everybody have to come together?
Yes, it was done. It was done remotely because of a simple reason. That at the time, it's not a secret, but I was really ill. I have a very, very serious disease. I have an acute leukemia.
Oh wow!
Yeah. It was a strong thing, and I have some bone marrow transplantation. So I have to live in a sterile room for 3 or 4 months.
Oh my gosh!
And that was the time of the writing of Life, and that's why the album is named Life. Because
okay.
And I was in my sterile room, and I only have my guitars. But all the nurses, put the guitars in alcohol solution to kill the bacteria on the guitar, because I was very weak.
Yeah.
And I have my computer, and so I was writing to Chris, sending some things, and he sent me back some things. So that's why it was doing remotely, mainly because I was in hospital at the time of the recording. And also because, working with Chris, it's like working with a magician because he knew the whole world. Just an example. We have Kimberly Ryu on the new album.
Okay.
And when I was playing the song, I said to Chris, wow, it makes me think of Katrina and the Waves, this part. And he said to me, but do you want we ask Kimberly Ryu to be on this song? And I said, yes.
Yeah. I wish I could find. I know it's in my room somewhere. I have an autographed Katrina and the Waves picture here somewhere.
Everything is related.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. So, and for the new album, it wasn't made remotely because we were all this time in a studio at Manchester Studio in North Carolina with a band, and we recorded all the rhythmic section. So there was Rob Ladd on the drums, there was Jan Holder on bass, there was Wes Latchot on keyboards, Manchester on guitars, I was on guitars, and Chris was at the production. It was totally crazy. Well, 4 days of recording all together, and we were playing live into the studio.
Oh, nice.
So all the songs are built like this. So we have a very strong foundation of a band playing together. And after we have all back and forth with Chris, with adding layers, adding a lot of things, adding the strings, chord, some guitars.
The one thing I don't say one thing. One of the things that I find amazing is now that learning that life was done remotely, it doesn't sound like it was done remotely. It's a beautiful pop album. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Juliana Hatfield. I love her voice. Whatever she sings, I'm a big fan of. But my favorite track on that album, and honestly, I can't explain why, but Another Bus Coming. I love that song. It's a little different than a lot of the other stuff on that album, and maybe that's why it stands out for me. But I love that song. It's fantastic.
I'm not full of grace, I'm Charlie Brown. I lose my place in Tinseltown, but there's another bus coming. There's another bus coming. There's another bus coming.
Thank you. I can tell you the story of Another Bus Coming.
Please do.
Because the first time I wrote the song, it became with this little arpeggio. It was a very soft song. And I said to myself at the time, but I'm sure that Matthew Cause will sound amazing on this song. So we have a lot of different versions of the song, because I was working with Fred and Benoit in France as a power trio. So we have some versions which are very aggressive, with heavy drums, with floor tom, no hi-hat, but only the floor tom, blah, 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 blah. And the song is really evolving with Chris, and he said you should not hitting so hard, and just keep, some places that are beautiful, and let's keep this energy to the end. And so we sent the song to Matthew, and he came out with all these beautiful vocal lines. And I'm sure you notice that in the song the tension is growing up, just like something that arrives, and in fact it's a bus. But at the end we have this very strong feeling of guitars, with Manchester, who's making amazing guitar as he always did. And at the beginning all the song was like this, like the end, all the song was very very hard playing.
Okay.
And then we have this kind of breathing with Matthew, and I really love this song too, and we have the joy to make a clip in Paris, a video clip of Another Bus Coming. It was just a quarter from my home. It was the next block, and it's near the Panthéon, in Paris, which is a famous building.
Oh.
And we were at a bus stop, waiting from Another Bus Coming. That's the story. That's the story of the song.
I love it. That is, and it's my favorite on the album. I think maybe, like you said, maybe it's just because I can feel it building as it goes. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Yes. Right.
Did you ever play that album live? Did you ever put a band together and
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes, we made a little tour on the East Coast in 2024. It was only a 6 or 7 concert. We play at Cat Squaddle in Chapel Hill, of course, because it's the town of Chris and a lot of people. And then we play in New York, we play in Boston, we play in Philadelphia. And we play with Matthew Cause, with Rob Ladd, with Chris, of course, Lynn Blakey. And it was amazing experience being with all these people live. And the truth is that we love that. We like being together. It's kind of a family, It's weird because we don't know each other very well, but it was immediately this feeling of being well together and playing this music that we really love. I guess that the main thing is that we are music lovers, and so we are together for the music, and we don't care about all the other things. We are just here for pleasure, and we are just here for making music and having fun together. This is the story.
So after all of that, the creation of the album, the playing shows live, coming to the U.S. to do some shows, did you just go back to your day job after that? Which, I mean, it's still an amazing day job, but did you have to just go back to being a doctor after that, or did you start working on the next album immediately?
It was difficult for my mental health, because playing with all these people, you have to keep calm. You have to, you have to be good. You have to perform well, because it could be very impressive to work with all these people. And you notice that on the new album we also have Andy Partridge. Yes. Which is another of my personal god, So, and I have a song. There is a song which is "Waiting for the End of Time" on the new album, which is signed Schück, Stéphane, Partridge.
Wow!
And this is kind of. I said to myself, I just can't do better than this. Having my name with these two guys who are my two personal gods. So it was kind of very weird feeling,
I bet. It's like having a credit with two of the two of the most influential people in your life musically.
Yes, and the fact is that the singer on this song is Jason Faulkner.
Oh yeah.
And I'm also a huge fan of him since so many times,
Oh, yeah.
And so this is kind of, you can say, I did that, so now I could stop, because I'm sure I cannot do better. But the fact is that I have tons of new songs, and that I know how the process with Chris is so joyful, and so great that we are working on the next album.
That is amazing. Oh, that is so cool. That is great. And one of the amazing things is you've opened some doors, and they're more just going to keep opening. So you have a whole bunch of other new people to collaborate with, and which will fit right into the Salt Collective. It's just a collective of the core group of Salt, and then whoever you want coming in and out. I mean, it's brilliant.
Exactly. With we are not like a traditional band, because when you're a traditional band, there is always some tension, and here, I mean, everything is collaboration, So people come from one song and having some pleasure, and maybe they are too busy for the next album, but they will come back from the next and next album, So it's really kind of network, and it's a collective. It's in the name. It's in the name, and so I'm very happy with this. Because and who knows, on the next album maybe we will have some new names, and so anything is possible, as Chris used to say.
Exactly. So the new album, before we get into the third Salt Collective album, we'll go back to the second here. So the new album is called A Brief History of Blindness.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that title? Is there something behind that?
This is, my quasi mind.
Okay.
Because the story is, I was trying to, all my life and all my creation activity is trying to manage the scientific part of my medical career and the artistic part. And then there was a song that made me laugh a lot. I think it was on the part which, on the Fuzzy Warbles, when he get out all his demo. And there was a song that was only 13 seconds, that was a brief history of rock and roll. And so it's only 30 seconds, and this welcome to the 50s, and you hear a rockabilly riff, and welcome to the 60s, and you hear something psychedelic, and welcome to the 70s with heavy guitar. Only 13, and it makes me laugh a lot, and I love this kind of a brief history, Yeah. And then blindness, it was kind of medical aspect of the things, so a brief history of blindness. And it's related also to, all the world today. I mean, everything is crazy. So, So just if we take a step back and saying it was a brief history of blindness, it's very optimistic. In fact, it means that all this period will end, and that we will be happy after this. It's very naive,
Yeah.
That kind of mental health drugs, a brief history of blindness, and after it will be great.
I love it. To me, title-wise, it almost sounds like something from Swans. I really think it's a provocative, thought-provoking title. It makes me want to listen to the album.
Yes. And there is one thing in the album maybe that you notice, but for the cover, I use one of my photography, because I'm also a photograph. I love photography, and I play with artificial intelligence on my photography, and the cover is my photography, but seen by an artificial intelligence. And it means it's a brief history of blindness, because with all of these artificial things, and we have to go back to real things, and that was related to the title, A Brief History of Blindness. Oh, wow. So there's kind of coherence in everything we try to do.
I know, that is great. I love that. So we've talked a little bit about the amazing lineup that you've got on this album. So you've actually got a few people I've had on the podcast, like Chris Stamey, but you've also got a lot of people that I want on the podcast. So I'm going to hit you up later for some help getting them on the podcast. I'm just kidding. I would never actually do that. But the core of the band has recorded together, and you mentioned everybody actually kind of came together in the studio this time to record. So that really, you do get that live feel from the album, and
exactly.
I love that. I think some of my favorite albums have been done that way, and it makes it. I don't know. There's not like, I don't want to say a rawness to it, but there's a definite a feel of collaboration on it. There's a definite feel that it's a band playing together and not things pieced together here and there. Which on Life, things were pieced together, but it didn't sound like it. And now you're actually doing it the way it sounds. It's amazing. I'm saying it very poorly right now, but it sounds like a band that's been playing together. It sounds tight, but to use a Led Zeppelin term, tight but loose, which I love. I think that it's a tough line to stay balanced on, and you guys do it fantastically.
Thank you so much. I exactly understand your feeling. And, when we were recording live in the studio, there was so much communication between us, because we were in the same room, seeing each other, we are very close together. And at the beginning of the take, we are sure that we have two bars after the second bridge, and then on the third bridge, you go back to the third verse, and then you have one beat of silence, and then you go this. And so it was, really a kind of ping pong between us. And when we were ready, wet recording, wet light.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And Chris was going from the console to the room saying, you should get more kick on this, and you should play more like this. And, we were driven by Chris. And it was a fantastic feeling. I hope we can do this again, because as a musician and as just a human being, it's a wonderful experience.
In all of that, and I this is one of my favorite things to ask personally, because I've always find this interesting. Was there one song, or I guess maybe what was the hardest song to record, and what was the easiest? Was there one that it just took a long time to get right, and then was there one that just like a couple takes and it was done?
Well, I think that all the songs went well, but I remember that Waiting for the End of Time was kind of hard of recording, because in this song, it's more a rock song, like a pop song. The one with Jason singing. It's sometimes very rough. And at the time, we only have a vocal guide that was not Jason.
Okay.
It was, and so it was hard to really work with, only a vocal guide. And I remember we did many takes on this.
And we were sliding in a dream down a flashlight's frozen beam. We were circling the train, doing giggling in our brain. Can you tell me what's the plan? You had written on my hand, but the ink had washed away in the hemispheres ballet.
We were exhausted, so we were recording something totally crazy. Everybody was do what you want,
Yes.
And we played during 15 minutes, two chords. It was kind of psychedelic experience.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because we had to evacuate the pressure.
Yeah.
And maybe the most easy song was maybe Cloud to Cloud with Matthew, because this song is so, it's kind of a serenity on the chorus.
Yeah.
When Matthew sings I love to drive, it's what a sky, it's a never-ending show.
What a sky! It's a never-ending show. It's reminding me of something. The whole frame around this moment's fiction. Each way I see it is a scene that I've just written. I get good questions but don't answer.
And we were kind of ecstatic when playing it, Everybody have a smile on the face, because the song is... And Matthew was with us at this moment. He was he was with us in the studio for this take, and so he played guitar with us, and everybody was so happy to play, all together.
It's, I mean, you can feel the happiness in this. So that featured Matthew Cause of Not a Surf. I love that one. So that was, I think the second single was Cloud to Cloud. Is that right?
Yeah,
the first was Shadow of the Moon with Mike Mills, which is amazing.
And Lynn Blakey.
That's an amazing. I'm not sure how you managed to get him involved, but that song, I don't know if it's because of him involved in it, but it has a classic REM feel to it. The sound-wise, it's really, really cool. I don't know if that was him. Was it written that way, or was that his influence?
What you feed on is your salvation. Collapsing energy of fire. I will hold your hand, tell you everything's alright, until you understand. We're turning shadows into light.
In fact, I wrote the song having in mind that it will be for Lynn Blakey, because I hear when I wrote it, I hear the vocal female, in my ear.
Yeah.
And so I sent the song to Lynn, and she came out with the wonderful vocal line, and so she really wrote the song with me. And at the beginning, Mike was not here. It was only Lynn and us. And when listening to the song, there is this Athens feeling, of course, in the song, because I'm also a huge fan of William, of course.
Yeah.
For sure. And so, as Chris knows everybody on Earth, and he was playing with Mike Mills, on the Big Star things, and so he asked, Mike, do you want to? Can you listen to this song with Lynn? And of course, he knows Lynn, and he was very happy to contribute to the song.
Wow.
And the first time I have the first version of him with Lynn, I say, wow, it was kind of a temporal capsule, back to the 80s, and get this feeling. And I really love when you have male vocal with female vocal, when at the same time you have the male and vocal female. And Scott from Game Theory was a master at this. On Game Theory album, you have a lot of songs where there is a male vocal and a female vocal, blending together. And this is this feeling of this song.
I love it. That's the first single, and it's a hell of a way to kick off the album. It's amazing. I think one of my favorites is The Quickening Sky with Django Haskins, who's also been on the podcast. He's such a nice guy. It's got this wild, like, Pink Floyd meets the Dave Clark 5 sound. It's just, it's hard to explain, but I think it's my favorite on the album. It's incredible.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now you must make a choice. Living in active voice. Set a course by the jailbreak line. Hold tight to the quickening sky.
I love this one so much, and I wrote it years ago, and I have this feeling of, that there is a little riff, which is very simple in the song, which is coming back to a lot of time, and you have this progression, which is kind of dramatic progression, and Django did a really good work on this. I mean, he is in the song, and now I can't hear it without him. I mean, he personalized the songs with his vocals, and of course there is this, Pink Floyd things with with a vocal singer, which is Faith Jones. She's an amazing singer, and she tries to improvise, based on the guitar. And there is huge different version of this, because there was a lot of layers and but at a point you have to choose. And if I do the things, this song could have been 20 minutes long. It was so hard to choose and make the selection, but they did an amazing job. And I agree, this is also one of my favorite.
Yeah. I also love You Swallowed the Sun with Pat Sansone of Wilco, which is amazing. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm a big Amy Mann fan, so The Waiting Game is a favorite of mine. It's
Thank you.
I see you there, wind in your hair, so laissez-faire, your distant stare.
Anything Amy Mann touches to me is just sounds incredible. So
Yes, but when we have only the music at the beginning, and Chris makes the vocal lines, and he knew that I was a huge fan of Amy, and I know that Amy was connected to him, and when he asked her if she wished to be on the song, and she said yes. I can remember the feeling that I have at this moment. It was something that over me, and I said, wow, she's going to sing on this song. And I love her since the beginning of his career. And my son, when he was a kid, wants to be married with Amy Mann, and he always say if he has a girl, a kid, which is a girl, he will call her Amy.
Oh wow!
So in the family, we are a huge fan of Amy, and I remember the very first time Chris sent me the first take of Amy on the song, and so when you put the play button and we listen to his vocals, it was great.
I can't even.
So I hope, and that maybe we could play with her live this song. We are trying to do this. It would be very, very complicated.
Yeah.
But this is a goal.
Hey, if there was anything I could do to help, which there's probably not, I am in, because I would love to hear that.
Yeah.
Does your experience in medicine, does that influence your songwriting at all? Because it sounds like the frailty of life is kind of a theme throughout both of the Salt Collective albums. Is that accurate, or is it just a coincidence?
About the way I didn't catch the question.
It sounds to me like the frailty of life is a theme on both Salt Collective albums. Is that the case? And if so, is it based on your work in medicine, or is it based with being, having leukemia, or is it something else?
It's always linked. The two are always linked because medicine is taking care of the other people, and when you are doing music, it's nearly the same feeling. I mean, you're making music for giving something to the people, and so after they like or they didn't or they don't like, that's not the question, but you are creating something and you want to give these things to people. So sometimes it's kind of the same feeling, but of course my situation at the time, there was some influence on the writing, because I was really, really, really close to death, and of course, you are looking back to your life, to what you have done, to say, are you happy with what you have done in your life? So there is kind of not exactly melancholia, but maybe kind of nostalgia, and I really love the songs which have this melancholia dimension, but with high energy.
Okay.
I always find it gives some really good songs. If you take, by example, Love Will Tear Us Apart from Joy Division, it's very melancholic, and at the same time, it's high energy.
Exactly. Smashing Pumpkins made an entire career out of that. Yes.
Sorry?
Billy Corgan and Smashing Pumpkins made an entire career out of that.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes you have to be more optimistic, that always being nostalgic.
Yeah.
And I think in the different songs there are some different feelings, but I think it's always the love of music and of. It was such a joy to write all these songs. I think you can feel it in this album.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful album, and I've really been enjoying it. Do you have plans to play live, to tour, or is it?
We are trying to at the present time. We are trying to. One thing for sure is that we're going to make a concert in Paris, France.
Nice.
As we did 3 years ago now. It was amazing. It was a little concert into a studio. We were playing into a studio with 100 people, and it was an amazing experience.
Wow.
And on the Another Bus Is Coming clip, you can see some footage from this concert in Paris.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And we want to do it again. And Matthew is okay, everything is okay, but now we have to find the right moment to play with all the agenda of everybody. It's really complicated. But we're on it. And then after, I hope that we could do again a tour in the US in 2026, I hope.
That would be amazing. I hope you expand it down to the Washington, D.C. area, because that's where I'm based in that area. And I can come, I can bring my camera. I'm a photographer as well. I shoot a lot of live concerts in the area, and I can do a concert for you.
Stay tuned. I will tell you if it happens, but I really hope.
I hope so too, because I've really enjoyed both of the albums. I mean, they're both amazing. They're both connected, and they just flow one into the other, and that's an impressive feat in and of itself. So to have them both be such high quality and such great songs, it's not easy to do, and I think you've knocked it out of the park. So where can people find the music? How can they pick it up, order it, listen to it, and support your music?
We are on all the platforms, Spotify and co, even if it's not, but now you have to live with the period,
Yeah.
I came from the dinosaur time, when we have only some vinyl. And, but now this is platform, so we are on all the platform, and the album will be released 21st November.
Okay.
And so you can make pre-order on our label, which is Propeller Recordings in New York City, and of course digital also.
Right. So there are you going to be doing physical copies, like
yes. There will be physical copies, there will be vinyl, there will be CD, and I work hard on the cover art and all the things. So buy the CD, because there is a booklet which is amazing.
That's what I love. I've got here. I'll flip this around so you can see. There's my wall of CDs.
Wow! I have the same.
I don't have too much vinyl. My vinyl is more collectible vinyl, and there's not a ton of it.
Yeah.
But
I have
I'm a big
tons of CDs. I have tons.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge. If I can't touch it, I don't feel like I own it. So I don't feel like I've actually bought it. So I'm thrilled to hear that there will be physical copies. So what is the best way for people to follow you? Is there a social media presence that people can follow you and get updates?
Yes, we have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, Salt Collective. Both on here, and the label is making a really good job on his own channel, which is Propeller Recording, but we have our own page, Salt Collective. We are not published a lot, but we are posting at a key moment what we are doing, what will be the future, and as I told you, we already work on the next album. We are at the beginning of the process. And I think it should be maybe a little more work,
Okay.
Because we have this feeling of playing live together, and we want to capture this again, and pure happiness.
Yes. Well, I look forward to that. In the meantime, I'm going to listen to the second album as much as I can, even though it's as of this recording, it's unreleased yet, and you're already working on your third. So that's amazing. So thank you for spending so much time with me today and talking about the music. It's really, really been wonderful. I really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, the same for me.
You swallowed the sun. You took it down